So you have 5 minutes, you have 15 slides, 20 seconds each. And I will probably, after each presentation, I will ask for one question. So if you have a question which is really related to the presentation, you can raise it, and then I will drop you this microphone. So without any further ado, I think we should just start this session, and we are going in this ABC order. So Agueda is the first. You can take that mic over there.
Thank you. So it's not Daniel, it's Luis. Our presentation is...
and please keep your mic very close to the mouse because...
Okay. Okay. Our presentation is dedicated to participatory budgeting. It's our initiative for democracy for every citizen. And we are, first I will present the city. As you can see, maybe some of you know this image, the hovering umbrella. It's part of our marketing, territorial marketing campaign. I'm waiting simply for the next slide, those 20 seconds. This is who we are and where we are. We are located 70 kilometers from Porto, 30 from Coimbra, 240 from Lisbon. Some of you have been there, I believe. Agueda is not so big, it's a small city, 47,000 people, but we are very dynamic socially and industrially. We have more than 200 local associations. The target for our municipality is to be a human smart city. We have already achieved that in part. We are a citizen-centered technology city. We strive for transparency, and we try to do this with education, and the participatory budgeting is part of this strategy. What is the participatory budget of Agueda in a very simple and straightforward way? The citizens decide on a budget of 500,000 euros. The maximum cap per project is 50,000. So the scope is municipal and it's deliberative. It's so the citizens of the municipality decide on what they want to do with those 500,000 euros. Key point, communication, that in a very rarefied population, we have to work in different platforms, different ways to reach people. Participatory platform, also the infomail system we use with the post, our municipal website, which has thousands of visits. We also use the Facebook of the municipality, which has more than 10,000 people following, which is a fifth of the population of the municipality. We also use videos to promote, so people go after the images, the messages they have played for their projects, for example. And we also have continuous update of the information with the national, regional, and the local mass media. Another key point is action, reflection, and action. So every week we have meetings where the staff involved in this, and we are talking about the heads of units, the municipal bodies of the municipal assembly. They meet and they continually assess what is going on, what can be improved in this throughout the different stages, the budget definition and the budget execution. So another key point is the assessment we have, but with external auditing. We have, in order to have credibility into the system and not to be like belly button centered process, you know, simply talking about what we do, we have someone who helps us understand if we are doing it well. And again, the need to identify the opportunities to improve, a look from outside into the process and into the organization. Another key point for all of you who are thinking, why should I take this? What is the difference it has made? Because we have a sociological study going on at the same time, we understand who is coming to us. So we can understand who is missing the participatory budget. And we also understand their level of skills because we are using technological tools for the voting and to reach people. So we need also to create opportunities for these people to know, to understand how they can come to us and how we can be with them closer. It has brought us the opportunity to be considered one of the best practices in the country. We took the prize in 2015. And why should your city use it? This is a process which is inclusive in terms of digital literacy, writing skills, the access to participatory sessions, the conciliation of family life, and active citizenship. And it always has a very strong capacity to attract new people, because the people see the projects being implemented in their local communities, and they think, okay, I will go and present my own idea and work and promote my project. Another point, it's very important, in my opinion, it's the fact it boosts the mutual trust and communication between the municipal body and the citizen. I think it's very positive, and it brings people much closer. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a quick question. What are you doing with those people which you discover in the sociological study that they do not participate? For example, migrants or the people in deep poverty. What can you do with them?
We don't have so much the migrant problem, despite the fact that we received some families of refugees. Not so many, a handful, not even a handful of them. But we detected, for example, that certain groups, age groups, youngsters, because this is a project which allows citizens over 16 who are living in the municipality to vote. We detected that we were missing this slice between 16 and 25. So we had to strive to find strategies to reach them, and we only could see this if we knew who was coming to us and who was voting, who was presenting the propositions, you understand? So it's it creates the proximity, and because it's a small municipality, you know, we have a city with 15,000 people, you know, some faces become known, you know. People recognize me and Daniela as the faces of the participatory budget, and that's a bonus, a plus for the process.
Any question of the audience? Raise your hand and you will get this microphone.
I'm sorry.
Come to you after. Not you.
You have a question?
No, I will just tell him that.
I drop you.
Not yet, not now.
Okay, good.
Later.
Okay.
Questions are welcome. Only the first one was difficult.
Yes, okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Antwerp.
Do I have to stand here? Or the camera will follow. Maybe here? Okay, urban data scan. I start my story 15 years ago in a former railway area. You can see on this picture, in a former railway area in a very densely populated and multicultural environment area in the northern of Antwerp, a city of more than 500,000 people. They're very populated, and because of we analyzed the green structure of the city, we could quantify our need of green in this area. So this is an example how we quantify this green area. Is by the proximity, the walking distance of green spaces is very important for a livable mixed environment. So the green spots are the spots that are people living nearby this extra new park of 17-hectare park called Spoor Noord. It's a big success now. And it's realized because of our urban data scan. And we do this by two systems. First, the geodata, you see those are the green spaces of the city with the proximity, 5 minutes walks here on the map will show you. And this system is also on an online data platform. And we calculate how many inhabitants or citizens live within this proximity of green spaces. Not only green is analyzed, also other local amenities like playgrounds, schools, cultural, sport, youth facilities that are very important for a very mixed urban environment. And we quantify all these services or all these amenities, both on the proximity of the amenities as the capacity of the amenities. We did this during the last 10 years for about almost 100 projects, as you can see on the map, very large one and smaller ones. And we do this analyze or this report, this scan in the beginning of these spatial projects that are sometimes private developers. And these are the other themes we take into account in our urban data scan. So housing, mobility, environment, mobility, like I said, and the amenities. And we try to do this on two systems. First, our geodata, like I said, the objective data that are on maps. And we also have an online data platform, City on the Map, we call it. For example, here you see the tram stops and the train stations. And the other thing we use is the online statistical data platform. It's we quantify all these figures and amounts, and we provide it on this system. Here you see charts, but you can also consult maps. We have all these different themes in this interactive online data platform, and it's not only in the city level, it's also on different levels, like the neighborhood, the quarter, post zones, and of different years. So we can always monitor our evolutions, our urban data scan. And now these are all examples of the different themes we use in our urban data scan to convince policymakers to make the right decisions in the city development projects. So this is demographic population density, but also the unemployed are an important indicator in our urban data scan. And the others always refer on the link to the city on map and the city in numbers. It's the one upstairs. So this is about commercial facilities. So all these themes, they try to underbuild an urban or a spatial planning vision to make the right decisions in what should be there in these projects. So for example, from now on, in all these projects, we are already realized in those 10 years, extra schools, green spaces, like you said, you saw on the Parkspoor North, but also we have an urban growth. So in 20 years, there will be 100,000 inhabitants or citizens more. So also that we have calculated and quantified the need of extra local amenities like schools and sport facilities or extra green space we need to have this good mix of urban development. And those are all examples of the things we use in our urban data scan. So you can go a little bit further. One more element, it's a very flexible and organic instrument. So in these online data platforms, we always have new insights. For example, this is about the proximity of tram stations and how many people live within this 5-minute walks of tram stations. So and that's a new topic, and I think especially Antwerp has a very big problem with the air, the pollution of the air. So you see like the nitrogen dioxide, I don't know to say it in English. So we also quantified, and we can by numbers and maps and figures convince people or the policymakers that they should do something about this air pollution, because the map show you that more than 30% of the people live in these bad noisy or air pollution areas. That was my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now I would really drop this microphone to someone. Let's try out. Please raise. There's a question over there. Very fantastic. Are you ready?
Does it work? Yes. So we met earlier, but I've got a question for Virge. So it's really interesting what you are doing. How are you trying to communicate with your citizens about the use of data you are collecting about them?
Yes, that's a good question because I forgot to tell. So, of course, these two online data platforms, like you saw on the maps, they are online, so they're open data for everybody, so everybody can just look at them, also citizens, but also private project developers, but also our own administration. And so it's very transparent what we do, and we all use the same figures. And I had one more thing I wanted to tell because I also forgot. This, that it would be very interesting, not only for our own citizens, but also for other European cities to compare our figures. Like, for example, square meter green space per capita. We have a figure, but it's on the city level, and it would be very interesting if there would be Europe or URBACT, I don't know, take a lead in just like make a very useful and user-friendly tool to provide to all the cities to have these data platforms. And so I really hope it would one day it would be possible.
Thank you very much. Please drop me back the microphone. Thank you. And now it comes. Please leave it here. Aviles, yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Yolanda Alonso. I am from Aviles, a city in the north of Spain with 80,000 population. And public procurement is a key tool to help disadvantaged people to incorporate at the labor market. A key tool is our instruction to introduce social clauses in public procurement procedures, known by Spanish acronym ICSA. This is our cornerstone since 2009. At that time, with economic crisis, unemployment and worsening working conditions had started to rise to all population, but especially in the most vulnerable groups, young people, women, and immigrants or people with disabilities, and these people had few possibilities to reincorporation. In the meantime, the demand for public funds and benefits soared. In this context, we analyzed a very important issue, our budget. We were investing 25% our budget of social policies, and we realized that public procurement was the 40% of our budget. And we asked ourselves if we use that money to do social policy and not just procurement. And we launched into adventure. What are our objectives in this key tool? First of all, we want to generate the opportunity for the most vulnerable group to incorporate them into the labor market. And second, we want to improve the labor conditions of workers employed by companies which work for us. Important to promote the equality in these companies. It's important for us because we have a high level of unemployment, women unemployment. ICSA. ICSA is the acronym of instruction. What are we doing in Aviles? We were the first Spanish administration to introduce social criteria in public procurement. We have introduced it successfully in all kinds of contracts, of public contracts. And then vulnerable people derived from the Department of Employment and Social Services began to be hired thanks to these clauses. And how we do it? We reserve contracts, we assess or we require that the companies which compete for our contracts commit in the following areas. Hired people with special difficulties, promote the equality of opportunities in their companies and improving labor conditions of the worker. The more commit in these areas, the more possibilities has this company to win the contracting process. It's important. And the results. Since it started to be applied, social clauses have been introduced in 147 public contracts. 11 contracts were reserved for special employment centers or social insertion companies. And the most important, more than 500 people at risk of exclusion have been employed thanks to social criteria. And it's important. The most relevant aspect of these practices, first of all, it gives a chance to people that otherwise they would not have. In addition, it does not need extra cost and it saves expenditure in social benefits. And finally, it turns passive policies into innovative active market policies. And it's not a necessary extra cost of our budget. Why is it's important to share this good practice with another cities, and it's easily transferable. Public procurement in city councils can reach 50% of our budgets. In our case, 40%. It's important the directive European legislation allows and promotes the use of social clauses in public contracts. All the cities in European is necessary to introduce social clauses in our procurement. And last, Aviles has experience to share this practice with another cities in Spain, and we will to share this practice with the other cities in Europe. Thanks for your attention.
Any question? Not in the back, not in the front, not on the left. No question.
It's clear.
Everything is clear, and you are ready to team up with Aviles. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now it's Badalona.
Hello, good afternoon everyone. So I am Jordi, I come from Badalona city, and I'm going to tell you about our good practice, which is called Building an Age-Friendly City. I come in here with my colleague Valentina, and we come from a public organization which is devoted to the provision of health and social care services within the city, whose unique holder is the City Council of Badalona. Badalona is a city which lies to the north of Barcelona, totally attached to Barcelona, in Catalonia, as far as today a region of Spain, we will see tomorrow. And it has 215,000 inhabitants and a great Roman past. Our good practice focuses on demographic change because the City Council has identified demographic change as the most or the greatest challenge that our societies will face in the forthcoming years. So we do it in two perspectives. One, which tackles the urban growth, which means people coming from the villages into the city, and the second one, which is elderly people growing, the amount of elderly people growing. So Catalonia at a regional level is the one with the eldest population in Spain, and also with the major number of elderly people in municipalities. And one example of the problem is the increase of chronic conditions among population. In Badalona, what we ask ourselves is, okay, as far as today we have 18% of the population, which is age plus 65, 18%, and we were thinking among ourselves whether we were ready or not to tackle such a challenge. So we decided to put in place an holistic strategy trying to cover this big challenge because we know it will be huge. So we prepared a project which is split in 4 different pillars. The first one is regarding urban policies through what we call Badalona towards a healthy city. The second one tries to foster networking and collaboration, which is Badalona reference site on active and healthy aging. The fourth one is bringing the universities into the loop, so the knowledge generation. And the last one is population studies to have a clear picture of the status of our population. So when coming to the first pillar, this is a project funded totally by the City Council, aiming to foster the prevention and promotion of care. It's funded by 800,000 euros per year. It supports the strategy of active and healthy aging, which is included in our municipal action plan, and has been designed by all the stakeholders within the city, so covering all the perspectives from civil society to policy making. One example of the activities that we do in this project, Badalona towards a healthy city, is activities that promote physical activity. We do them indoors, we do them outdoors, we go to the houses, elderly houses and community houses to promote that. Another one is properly prevention and empowerment of citizens to know about their conditions, so to learn how can they better manage their own disease and how can they do better, because we know this will mean huge savings for the health and the social care services later on. The second pillar is collaboration, the same thing that we are doing in here. We have been collaborating in different programs and with the Commission, with DG Sanco, with DG Santé, DG Connect. Now we are in URBACT. And I think that the key point for us is getting the award of being a reference site on active and healthy aging with 74 other regions in Europe. In fact, we represent a cluster, a big cluster of partners. At the moment, I think we are at 48 that cover what we call the quadruple helix of innovation, which means from industry to government and service provision, to academia and research, and to civil society. When all these stakeholders work together, achieve better results. And all of those stakeholders work together towards active and healthy aging. The third pillar is the generation of knowledge. So what we have done in here is packing with the university, in this case the Open University of Catalonia, concretely in the field of data analytics and big data, to try to all this knowledge fit into routine practice and get learning from the university into the loop to later on inform policy and decision making. Finally, the last pillar is what we call the Badalona Urban Health Observatory, because we want to know, or we needed a tool to have continuous monitoring of our population and know which is their condition and how are they at every exact moment, to be able to inform these health determinants that may inform policy in order to change the way we do things. I think that our path to success, or why this is working, is because, well, we have an organization which is ours, property of the City Council, that is managing all the provision of care, while we have all the departments of the City Council working with us. So we achieved the so desired territorial integration, we say. And well, it was short. We have a lot to say, so well, you can catch up with me and Valentina whenever you want. I'm happy to, yeah, to engage with you.
Thank you.
Welcome. I'm Rita, a project leader of the weekend of open houses called Budapest 100. Thank you for the opportunity of being here. So I would like to introduce our festival, which is a festival organized in Budapest, the capital of Hungary. And maybe we can go on with the slide. That was an introductory one. So we are celebrating the architecture and the buildings of Budapest in a cooperation with locals, volunteers, and residents. This is a bottom-up civic initiative. So we started without any kind of support, just to initiate something to bring people closer to each other. And and our goal is to take action against the social isolation. So people are living in big buildings, like 70 and 100 people are living in buildings without knowing their neighbors, without talking to their neighbors. So we really think that one of our challenge is to redeform or redesign this kind of non-speaking culture within the Budapest houses. So what is the history? We were established in 2011, and we were celebrating the 100 years old buildings of Budapest, and we collected a pool. We made a research to figure out which buildings are 100 years old in Budapest. This kind of topic lasts till 2015, when historical facts came in, so we had to change our focus. So now we are organizing the festival around different locations or topics. Let's say the relationship between the city or the river, or for example the Grand Boulevard, the buildings around the Grand Boulevard. And we are going to continue this in 2018 about the parks and the common spaces. So you can see some numbers here. The core team who are organizing this festival is 5. We are working with 150 volunteers each year. We have 20,000 visitors each year, and we open 60, 70 buildings, literally open the buildings. So with the inhabitants, with the residents, we organize programs. And this was our 7th year. And as I've just said, we are going to continue in 2018. So our mission is to redesign the urban community coexistence and also encourage volunteering, which is in the really beginning phase in Hungary, and also to encourage people to be more responsible citizens and also take care of their built environment and their surrounding, their neighborhood. And how we do this? We use the built environment and 3 targets. One is community, the other one is volunteering, and the third one is research. Research like architectural research, art historical research, community as the communities of the locals of the city and as the inhabitants and residents of the houses. Volunteering without age limits, so everybody can join us. In the next slides, step by step, I'm going to introduce how we do it. First, we decide what to do in the current year. So we choose the topic. It was the Grand Boulevard or the Danube houses, and next year about the parks and squares and the buildings around the squares. And then we make a call. We make a call for volunteers. We go to universities, and volunteers can join us for 2 different kind of topics. One is like a field job, so go to the houses, talk to people, and organize program. The second one is the researchers who goes to libraries and do the really intellectual job and find out histories about the building. The third step, team up. So like we need to coordinate 150 volunteers. So we need smaller teams, coach them, model the situations, how they should deal with the residents, with the locals, and what kind of issues might come up during the organization processes. So and the step 4 is like knock on the door. It sounds really simple, but this is the hardest part. To just go to someone's place, home, knock on the door, and promote our idea and say to them that come on, let's join us, because it's gonna be fun if you're gonna know your neighbor, your history, and the history of your house. If this doesn't work out, we knock again on different platforms, which means to ask the help of the municipalities or the agencies who are responsible for the maintenance of this kind of buildings. Usually this works out also, but sometimes it's a block in the people if municipality come in the picture. And step 6, dig deeper, make the real research. So go to the library and discover what is the history of the neighborhood, what is the history of the given building. And we are sharing this kind of data and knowledge with the residents, so they can be more familiar with their own place. Usually they own these flats. They usually own the place where they live. Step 7 is, I've just talked about the built environment. We organize walks, we organize exhibitions in the cooperation with the locals within the buildings. So this, you can see in the picture, this is one building out of 100 in Budapest. So one local resident is leading the branch of people and telling the stories, not only the stories of the building, but their personal stories as well. Step 8 is create emotional engagement. Volunteers and residents are working in hand, so they develop the program together, they make picnics, they share their personal stories, who lived there, what was the action during the Second World War and things like that. Really, we go really deep with this kind of personal stories, and also we start a discussion. So we motivate the residents to talk about their neighborhood, their house, to team up with the neighbors and talk about what to do, how to make more cleverly organized or betterly, like more livable surrounding or neighborhood. Enjoy the result. Obviously, the two days of open houses, it's about the fun and love and and things like that. And then what to do next is to develop. It's more for us where to develop like involving experts like sociologists or community building experts, how to deal with the communities. And also our big task is the impact measurement, so what kind of impact we had on the given communities. And that's the closing side, but I would like to add the institutional interest, what we are just facing now. So the municipalities of Budapest are really interested in our work. So now this is the question for us, how to involve them and create something better and bigger. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. I am a resident of Budapest, so I know this program very well. And can you imagine what a feeling it is if you enter a house which is 100 years old with a group of 30, 40 people, and then a proud resident brings you into the cellar, takes you on the top of the building where otherwise you couldn't enter at all, and tells the whole story of the building. So it's really a fantastic program. I give you now the...
So, it's not one, it's two questions. The first one, did you have any buildings coming to you and asking, please do it with us? Because these type of things, if they are so good, you get the neighbors asking. The second, how do you get financed?
Okay, the answer for the first, yeah, we had it, especially in the year when we had to change the topic. So, like, we are not dealing with the 100 years old building, but with something else. But the ones who were already taking part in our festival, they just called us that, come on, we know that next year we're gonna organize it, and please let us to be participating again. And also there are really active residents who know the program and also write an email that, oh, could you please deal with, I don't know, this kind of district of Budapest, so we could also join. That was the answer for the first, I hope. And the second, financially, we like funds. It's kind of application system, so we apply for money. And since 2014, we get some support from the municipality also in the frame of social entrepreneurship. So we provide data and we provide research materials for them, so they finance some part of the project.
Thank you very much. Now Dupnitsa.
Hello, my name is Boriana Sapundzhieva, and I am representative of municipality of Dupnitsa, Republic of Bulgaria. Our good practice is home for everyone. First of all, who we are? Dupnitsa is a town in western Bulgaria at the foot of the Rila mountain, at about 50 kilometers south from the capital Sofia, on the crossroads from Sofia to Thessaloniki and from Plovdiv to Skopje. You can see the total area and the population of our municipality. Home for Everyone was financed by operational program Regional Development 2007-2030. You can see the grant scheme. It's too long for saying now. What we have to do. Providing modern social homes is for vulnerable, minority and socially disadvantaged group. You see 15 new multi-family residential buildings, equipment and furnishing of social houses, and we have 150 families and 414 direct users of the project results. Parallel with the construction works, social package were ensured, access to employment, access to education, social inclusion, and measures for permanent desegregation. The soft measures were financed by European Social Fund. And So, the right to apply for social houses have the persons who meet the following conditions. Bulgarian citizens not have a dwelling, common parts, or every kind of property, not have an expensive car, and do not own business. So this is the new buildings. There are 15, as I said, with up to 3 floors. These are the pictures from the social package. You can see the people participating in trainings. And it's over.
Yeah, but
You can do. Okay, the HEART project, as I love to say, the HEART project was realized under European Development Fund. The start was in 2010, and the final was in 2015. The target groups, the target groups are homeless people or people living in very bad conditions, people who are at risk at poverty and social exclusion, and parents with children, including underage parents, large families, and families with children with poor health and disabilities. The access to employment was one of the most visited social measures. It was connected with registration of the unemployed in the Labor Office Directorate, survey, professional orientation, motivational training, as well as communication in foreign languages, and digital competence, public and civic competencies, learning to learn, and as well as the access to education, because there were services for children and young people and their parents for better adaptation on the to the education system, and the requirements of the labor market.
I think we have to finish now because that time is over.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? If not, I have one. This question is that if you put together 400 people who are unemployed, poor people, Roma people, etc., don't you create a new segregation? So how can you avoid that this will deteriorate this area again?
So we have a ranking, and one of the point was employment. So the working people became 5 points, and these who never worked become 1 point.
Okay, so among the people who are housed here, most people are working.
Yes.
Most are employed.
I have a percentage.
Yeah. Okay.
You
Okay.
saw it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
First, I would like to introduce also my city Esplugues. In the next one. Okay, Esplugues is a Catalan city, also next to Barcelona. Badalona is here. Esplugues is here, is next to kilometer 0 to Barcelona, and its population is about 46,000. Now we have an exemplary educational model which gives opportunities to people of all ages and all educative levels, because for us education goes beyond school. We want that every place, every activity, every corner become an educational space. All this together makes Esplugues an educational city in the broad sense of this term. we also want to educate in participation, not only during the childhood or youth, but also all the citizens. These are the two projects, the Children's Council, the Public Youth Audience. In one case, in the council, I think this is quickly that I can. In one case, the council, we are about to start the 9th edition, the second one, the audience, we are about to start the 11th edition. And which is the purpose of all this? Is to promote participation and achieve involvement of children and young people in their closest environment, neighborhood, school, family, also the city. We are talking about educating for democracy. We are talking about democracy. And we must consider that children's participation is an international recognized right included in the Children's Rights Convention of 1989. About participants, not methodology. About participants, we are talking about elementary and secondary students from public schools. So we are talking about children of ages from 11 to 16 years old. But these are the key participants. There are also involved other city agents as teaching staff, associations, local technicians from municipality, and obviously local government. Now methodology. This project follows a participatory methodology based on the following. First, group dynamics with all the students about a specific subject, an order, an assignment in the classrooms, plenary sessions with representatives of each one of the classrooms of the groups, a plenary public audience with the mayor, mayoress, and political staff, and also the technical staff. Children and young people from different schools come together in a space to share a kind of inter-school space. And there are different city departments involved in this process. Both projects are divided in different steps. First, representatives are selected, these who will work with politicians and technicians, and the mayor or the mayoress asks an assignment, makes an order of a subject of interest. After this, a diagnosis is made in order to detect necessities. From here, students from each educational center draw up their proposals. After this, representatives of each classroom show, discuss, and reach an agreement on the proposals. This agreement is presented to the local government to be implemented. And finally, children and young people in council and audience present their proposals to the mayor, mayoress during a final ceremony. Then she explains how the city council can give an answer to their proposals. But the process doesn't finish here. Once the proposals are presented, it begins a phase in which they will be implemented. It is a must, it is mandatory. And after that, the final phase is make project return to the students. The impact, the results. The impact is this one. 3,000 students from elementary school, 4,000 students from high school. In these 10 years, a total of 7,000 students. This is the number, the impacting number, but we have also other impacts, other results. Students proposals have to be implemented, so the city is transformed along the proposal from students from child and young eyes. And there are also some tangible results as the creation of a playground, the program to commemorate the film studio's legacy of the city, a children's garden, a decalogue in order to promote reading, proposals of activities to aim young people to become enterprising, actions to fight against gender, macho violence, and so on. This is the closing ceremony of the audience. Traditionally, the city of Esplugues has been drawn, as I said before, drawn up and projected from adult eyes, and we want to incorporate also this child, these young eyes to the design of the city. When we are in participatory process among the children of the city, we are doing an educational task whose goal is educating them in the values and principles of the democracy. When the institution which promotes this participation is the City Council, a transforming dimension of the city is added to the educational dimension of the process. In summary, participation is an opportunity to learn, to discuss, to share different perspectives and influence in the public policies, in the public affairs. Participation makes us more free, more responsible, more civic, and involved with our city. Be? Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you. No questions? Any questions?
Close. Does this work? Oh, that's very clever. I'm interested in how you develop a language and a narrative to engage young people. I'm aware of the work that kind of goes on in Barcelona. Is it around the Ganyam electronic kind of digital engagement democracy stuff? Is there any component of the work that you do engaging young people that has a digital slant to it at all?
Not still, because this is a project with the schools. Not still, because we are working in a platform, but we are working together with the schools, so all students from a stage of the primary school and the final stage of the secondary school must participate in this project. So this is the reason why there are 7,000 students participated from the beginning of this project.
So it is a kind of compulsory participation. That's a very interesting idea. This people are also starting to talk about compulsory elections, and this is again very interesting. Thank you very much, Gijon. Here is your mic.
Thank you very much for the opportunity of presenting our good practices. Obviously, I am not Pedro Lopez, he's my colleague, he's over there, and you can approach him for technical questions. I am going to present you the citizen card. Our motto is Gijon in your pocket. How many things do you think that fits in your pocket? I mean, with this piece of plastic, you can have more than 15 services in your pocket. With the citizen card, you can take a bus, you can also ride a bike, you can use the public toilets, you can make procedures related to the municipality, you can also borrow a book. Here you have some examples, some photos. You can more things, you can also participate in different methodologies. You can for example, I don't know, you mentioned the public toilets, more things that you can use. You can visit the museums for free. And okay, our idea started 15 years ago after analyzing similar experiences in other cities. And 3 years later, in 2002, we issued the first citizen card as a tool to integrate different tools and applications in one single card. At the beginning, we test different ways of management. And the central point of our citizen card is the citizen. For us, it's very important to facilitate the life of our citizens. So with this card, the citizens, they have everything in one single card. So they can also save time. They can achieve a level of comfort by using the card in one unified use. How is an ideal citizen card? Ideal citizen card is this card that can improve your services. You can also develop new ones. It's an excellent and quality in services. You can have all-in-one car, and also you can integrate application. It's like a liaison of application. And with this acronym, you can identify an ideal citizen car. The main characteristic of our citizen car is a contactless car. It uses MyFair technology. Another characteristic is municipal owned. That means that we don't have bank contract, we don't know the bank account of our citizens, and it's also personal and non-transferable. That means that it's an identification way, so with a PIN number, citizens they can identify for the different services. Related to the numbers, currently we have 320,000 users of the citizen card. That is, taking into account that our population in Gijon is 280,000, we have more cars than citizens. The reason is that also visitors and companies, they can have the car. And here I would like to highlight a couple of uses of our citizen car to see the impact in our city. Related to the bus, we have more than 1 million uses of the car per month. We have 70 bus lines, and with the citizen car, citizens they can get better prices according to the economic background. And another popular use is related to sport. With the citizen card, they can use the swimming pool, they can also grant access to different facilities, they can book a card to practice sports, and they can also register themselves in more than 200 sport activities. So we promote also healthy habits. A project that links the citizen car mobility with mobility is the Gijon bike. With the citizen car and also the identification of our citizens and also our visitors, they can borrow a bike in one of our 8 pick-up points, and we have more than 64 bikes available all around the city, and it's also a quite popular service. Another characteristic to highlight is the citizen terminals. The citizen card also helps you to cut the red tape, because you can make all kind of paperwork related to the municipality in one of these spots that are located all around the city. They look like ATM, like terminals, and they are open 24 hours, 7 days a week. And here in this summary, you can see the main uses of the citizen card, but the most important thing is that all the information that contains this citizen card is centralized. So we can process this information to improve our services. And also part of this information is also available as public open data for companies and also for citizens. And we can say that our citizen card is social committed. Why? Because, as mentioned before, it promotes healthy habits. It also is a personalized citizen card. So, we can adapt the prices of the services according to the income and also the background. It also promotes participation and accessibility. And it's also environmental friendly because they can use the bus, with lower prices. They can also take a bike. They can also recharge electrical vehicles, and they can participate in a project about car sharing. And the last one is the future development. Although our citizen car is 15 years old, there is still room for new innovation. And now we are working in agreements with the private sector, like taxis or small trade. Also, we are working in recycling. You can open the recycling bins with the citizen car. And we can use the citizen car to log into the Wi-Fi in the public buildings. And that's all. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Any question from the audience?
Thank you. I just want to know, how do you pay with the card?
Yeah, it's a prepaid. It's a prepaid card, and you can charge with money in the citizen terminals, or you can also charge in internet through the website. Yes, you can. You can use your credit card, or you can use bargeld to recharge the card. It's prepaid. Mm-hmm.
Is there any similar example among your cities?
Yeah,
No.
questions?
But here is another question. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. It was very interesting. We have such of these features here in Tallinn. By the way, every guest received this blue card.
Yes.
This is also, we use green card. It also can be, we use for different services, not only for to not paying for our public transportation, which is free of charge for Tallinners, but also for some other. But I would like to ask, in Tallinn, when we introduced this card, people was complained that now you will see what we do. So every time we use this service, so it's remain information on some service. Did you have such complaints or suspicions that your card promised to follow people and to know what everybody...
No, not at all. I mean, because as you see, we have more cars than citizens. And the reason is because it has a lot of advantages for the citizens, because they can get services for free. And also, I mean, for example, going to a public toilet is €1, but if you have the citizen car, it's free. Also, to use the bikes is free with the citizen car, and the bus is cheaper with the citizen car. And children are free. And also people with low incomes, they get also free public transportation. So it's really successful.
Okay, but the question was whether anyone complained about data protection. Not that you can control how many times a person goes to toilet, for example, etc.
We are not, we are not sure if they are aware. I mean, and we treat our data with all the legislation related to GDPR.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Thank you. Grand Genève.
Thanks. Hello everyone. I'm Charlotte Le Gouic from the Grand Genève. I'm here to present you our planning model for a cross-border agglomeration. Thank you. Maybe for an external eye, the Grand Genève could be just a stack of clichés with, of course, some NGO and banks heads office and maybe production of watches, luxury watches, finite chocolate, cheese, of course, etc. But the reality is a little bit more complex, of course. And for example, the canton of Genève, just here, has 100 borders in common with France and only 5 kilometers of borders in common with the canton of Valais, which is Swiss too. So I'd like to ask you to take a few seconds. Could you say where Swiss begins or Switzerland ends on this photographs? It's a very imbricated territory around the Leman Lake. Thank you. The main issue in the Grand Genève is the imbalance between jobs in purple and inhabitant in blue, because mostly of the jobs creation happens in Switzerland and the housing production happens in France. So we have a lot of institutions to organize the transborder cooperation, and we are here for the Grand Genève, who has competencies. Sorry, in mobility, in urban planning and environmental French-Swiss policy. The Grand Genève is a local grouping for cross-border cooperation, bringing together 8 members here, and 2 associate states, Switzerland and France, of course. Every 4 years, the Swiss Confederation launched a call for a conurbation project, and civil society. This project will lead to generate state funding. It's, for example, the last one, and to ensure the effective deployment of these project and PACA, the coordinated urban planning area. We have this very big and ugly diagram who explain how we can organize the cooperation at a local scale between political representative, civil society and technician. At this level, on the PACA, representative civil society and technicians spell out in detail to improve the local needs about urban integrated project alongside the corridor of transport. As they are supported by 3 team of consultants who are working side by side at first and then together to produce this kind of result with of course a master plan, a model, and every lot of documentation. Like this kind of synthesis master plan with different action to develop on the territory. These documents are now used by the public entities in local and global planning documents and produce also some effect on the territory. These are some examples for concrete realization on the territory, with two neighborhoods in France and in Switzerland, a new train line between Geneva and Annemasse in France, and 3 extensions for tramway line between Geneva and France, Annemasse, Saint-Julien, and the Gex countryside. But why all this process? The main objective is, of course, to improve the quality of life, and of course, it's not very easy all the day because, for example, in 2002, I think, I've lost my sheet. In 2014, the people of Geneva said no to a law who authorizes the Geneva state to finance some park and ride on France. So, of course, it will be very difficult after that to work together because French and Swiss representative was very disappointed. So maybe this slide is just here to finish and to remember that that is very important to work together, especially in our territory, because it's a cross-border conurbation, but it's also very difficult, and we have to work again and again on this subject. Thank you.
Thank you. Any question? No questions. We are coming close to the end, so thank you very much for your presentation. Guimaraes, you can also pronounce your city a bit more correctly, yes?
Like Guimaraes.
Guimaraes, no, this is different, yes, thank you.
At the end we try to repeat this. Hi everyone, I'm Carlos from Guimaraes. For those who don't know, Guimaraes is a medium-sized city in the north of Portugal, the birthplace of Portugal. It is also the city of the first king of Portugal, so I think that city is an inspiration for the country, we believe. So Guimaraes was the capital, the cultural capital in 2012, European Capital of Culture. It was also the European City of Sports in 2013. And in 2014, the City Hall understood that it is necessary to add a new layer, the layer of sustainability. And last week, we applied also for the European Green Capital Award 2020. So the good practice that I will present is an example of a path of this sustainable development. The P2 Green promote and preserve our biodiversity, but we want to do this with everyone, for everyone and with everyone. And so this is a strategic plan of biodiversity that try to join research and education, environmental education, civic participation, engagement of people, tourism. So it's an holistic approach, a participatory approach. And we did this project with the help of an institution called the Landscape Lab. This is an association between the City Hall and 2 universities of Portugal. This is a research institute and an environmental education institute. So this holistic approach comprises 2 steps. One of the steps is the diagnosis of the green area. For this diagnosis, we need to know more about our biodiversity. And to this, we supported with the citizen science concept, we construct an application mobile called Biodiversity Go, inspiring the name of another game, the Pokemon Go. And we launched the challenge to the citizens to create a big database of the biodiversity of this green area. Could you do this alone with only scientific knowledge? Of course, yes, but we don't know. We need to do this with the citizens. Also, the other program of this step, this diagnosis step, is a scientific project to identify the presence of invasive species. So this is a control plan, identifying and mapping these invasive species, eliminate these invasive species, and lots of raising awareness activities regarding this thematic to explain people why it is important to have in our green areas also just native species. And the other program in this step is an afforestation program, but an afforestation program with children, with the citizens, with the community, and this is the picture of our mayor of Guimaraes. So the challenge is that each child needs to plant 1 tree, give to his tree their name, and take care of it. So this is one of the challenges of this afforestation program. So, with the students of university. After this, what we have the diagnosis, the characterization of green area, but we need the other step. We need to valorize this green area. And for this, we have also a strategic with the citizens, and one of them is to create new biodiversity routes. New biodiversity routes for the residents, but also for the tourists. And for these biodiversity routes, we gather some information with Biodiversity Go that I told before, some information that we have now in the biodiversity routes. And also, we are constructing these biodiversity routes with people, with citizens, testing these routes with the people. And then, after this, we need to create some facilities to promote the observation of species, for example, birds observation, and we are now creating a big ornithological center in Guimaraes, and we also created in the urban spaces some facilities like this to promote this observation and also promote this nature tourism also in Guimaraes. This is an example that we have also constructed in the urban urban city, and the other one, the other picture, is the new ornithological center that we are constructing now. So with this, we want to promote nature tourism, and we are to promote our natural heritage and turn Guimaraes not only known by its culture, by sports, but also by its natural heritage. So this is our main goal, with all, obviously, but try to promote our natural heritage. Thanks.
Last before is Korneuburg.
Thanks in advance for your hopeful attention. My name is Regina Gruber. This is my colleague Sabina Gass, and we are representing the Urban Development Master Plan. Okay. Be so kind. Keep this structure in your mind if you can. I would like to put your attention to two words, master planning and participation, because I think Korneuburg is unique in what we have achieved. We have a participative steering staff for all the development of our master plan.
Please take your mic closer.
Closer. So? Okay, in case. Yeah, or I think we should go on. Okay, from a citizen initiative to a broad participatory process, this is really the path of our project. It's not a project, it's a program. And we take the future into our hands, is our credo. And if I say our, that means politicians, administratives, and citizens together. Korneuburg, just a short view. Small city, 13,000 inhabitants, approximately 18 kilometers of Vienna, north of Vienna, and we are the administrative capital of the district of Korneuburg. Okay. A glance so that you get an impression. In the middle, our town hall. On the left, you see the location of Korneuburg and at the Danube. And on the right side, there are some pictures of our old dockyard, which is now under development. And all these things are protected for for instance, this old crane. Also, we have to preserve it. Okay, then what are our values and our structure of our participatory approach? We need and always try to have common goals. We have to encounter. We take each step as a learning experience and collaboration across all borders of political parties, across social background and personal interests. This was an information campaign we started to motivate people to participate, and for 3 weeks there was big billboards along the streets of Korneuburg saying "No future for Korneuburg." After 3 weeks, we revealed the secret, and it became clear: no future without you, without the citizens. And we had presented 4 scenarios for a visionary goal for the city to the citizens, and 60% participated in our voting, and two visions, 2 scenarios: culture of living and competence on water. If you want details, please in our booth. One, and we had to combine these two, and our vision was developed and has the name Living in Confluence. And this is the basis for our work on developing our master plan. Master planning was firm, hard work, very conflictuous, many communication necessities, and we ended up last year in June, and we have a version number 01, and it's our strategy for the next years, for the future until 2036. 4 core elements. We have the most relevant programs, we call them lighthouses, and our chart of citizen participation and operative projects in the areas of life. What is really the unique thing I mentioned at the beginning is that we have a steering committee, which is called Steering Star, which is participatively staffed. And we have 4 levels of citizen participation. You can see information until direct decisions. And we have support for self-organization. And this is the committee which is steering, which is governing our master plan to the future. And have a look, we have here 7 citizens, and on the other hand, we have 2 administrative people and 5 politicians. So that means the power is really equal, and the power of the citizen side is rather strong. Main current activities, we are developing the old dockyard in a participative process. We are installing an architecture and planning advisory board. And on the social side, there is planned to install a one-stop shop for all our social requests. So this is just to give you an idea. Current challenges, always too little resources, no interfaces to administrative processes, control growth, and very hard to get people involved. And we look forward to discuss problems. Maybe you have similar ones in our booth. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Oh, yeah. Okay, how did you elect the 7 citizens in your steering team? Yeah, how did you select 7 citizens in your steering team?
We have a proponent committee, so that the program started in 2011, and it was we started in 2011, and it was initiated by citizens. And these citizens, more or less, are building a proponent committee. And this committee has worked out a voting process, which is not really 100% installed, but it works like that. Everybody is asked to vote, to say whom he wants, but it's absolutely necessary that those people who want to vote and want to make a decision have worked at least a half year in one of our projects, so that people know what is around and nobody can come in who has no idea.
Thank you very much. I have heard about a city where urban planners could come and give proposals for city development, but only if they participated for a few weekends in planning groups. So you cannot just come in and just tell your opinion and then leave, but you have really to be participating. Last but not least, Limassol.
Good afternoon. I will present to you how Limassol, successfully managed the sustainable development of the city, focusing on its economic, environmental, social, and cultural revival. Cyprus has 4,000 years of history and has been known since ancient times as the link between Europe, Asia, and Africa. Limassol is spread over an area of 56 square kilometers. The city regeneration was the main priority of the municipality, recognizing the need for changes. As a city with vision, problems became opportunities, and through their successful identification, bearing in mind the importance of the area as a historical, social, and cultural and natural core. Therefore, a strategic plan was prepared and adopted, which described the scope of the city and which the objectives were defined. The vision of the Limassol authorities was achieved mainly through the construction of major projects in the last 15 years, the location of which is shown on the map. I will present to you some of the major projects executed with the full cooperation of the municipality, the government, the private sector, always with participation of the public. In 1950, the municipal authority took a strategic decision to purchase all the private properties located along the urban coastline, and therefore the objective set up helping Limassol regain a view of the sea and keep in touch with the shore was achieved. A walkway, a bicycle lane, a beach, relaxation places, small coffee shops and facilities were constructed along a 2.5-kilometer shore. In 1970, the municipal authorities proceeded with reclamation area of creation of a linear and a park 1 kilometer long and 65 meters wide in order to protect the shore from the waves. And therefore, 2 years ago, the reconstruction was completed of the park, which included a bike lane, a small amphitheater, walkways, sitting areas, playgrounds, skateboard, decks for walk along the beach, etc. The city center regeneration project included the reconstruction of 9.5 kilometers of roads with the priority given to the pedestrians, the reconstruction of squares, landscaping, sitting areas, and the promotion of antiquities and general heritage. You can see how it used to be the town and how it is now. Some of the squares and the pedestrians area created in the city of the center, which now is sitting places for gathering, for different functions, festivals, and so on. Great importance was placed in the organic linking of the urban areas with the city center by creating a linear park along Garilis River, that's called, and the reversal of the situation or marginalization of the area. The project was 5.5 kilometers in length, which included the construction of a continuous cycle path, a walkway, playgrounds, greenery, a theater, sports fields, and sitting areas. And this park facilitates the people living in the north to cycle or walk to the center of the town. Limassol Marina is also located in close proximity to the center. The project was developed utilizing the BOT method by a consortium of private companies, and the old port was also restructured. Other major projects in the town were the restoration of the Patillo Municipal Theatre and the University of Technology, and the Limassol Municipality pioneer in the creation of the university in the center of the city with all the positive implications for the life of the citizens. Other projects is the new port extension, and which is the biggest in Cyprus, and the public zoo renovation according to the European legislation. The above are some of the major projects. A new era for Limassol city. Limassol flourishes again as a coastal city. The positive results have already been materialized, and the vision of the municipality of Limassol has been achieved. Modern Limassol is now a very important tourist destination and business center.
Thank you. Any question to Limassol? Thank you. I think everyone is a bit tired and ready for a coffee, but we have an announcement. Anais, please tell us.
Yes, indeed, I have an announcement. There is a surprise for you at the URBACT stand. So it's on the mezzanine above the reception desk.